You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Kennon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right, welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, every Monday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. live on 94.9 FM or 950 on the AM dial here in Central Florida. If you happen to tune in either the beginning or mid-show when I announce it again and you like the show and you want to hear it again, you have a second shot at it. You can check us out in a few days. This show then goes on to Spotify, streaming on iTunes, anywhere else that you stream, and then also on our YouTube page. So like us, subscribe us there, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. You'll be able to watch every show there in case you're just really that interested, especially in seeing Hans' dapper suit of the week. At no point will you see him wear the same suit at any given show. So I dare you to watch every show and test us out on that theory. Good to see you, Hans. We missed you last week.
I know. I hate to be out. My chair was warm and my microphone smells like cheese, I think.
That was the last show there for you.
Something like that. I sat down. I was like, this is very strange. But
do you know what kind of cheese it was?
I'm not sure, but I did miss being here last week, though. I haven't missed a week in a long time. My wife got tickets to Kenny G, and once that happens, you have to go.
All right. Well, all right, I'll hold my comments for the commercial break.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
And today we have a guest that is now back. It was a great guest for us, James, with Hole in the Wall. That's just it. A Hole in the Wall, drywall repair. So I'm looking at a shirt right there. What's going on, James?
How you doing? Good to be back.
Yeah, great, man. And the last time we had a great show, just kicking it around and us talking about things that we do well and things that we don't do well. And one of those is drywall. Yeah, drywall.
Yeah. If I knew you were coming early, I would have taken a picture of a little project I'd worked on a while ago, before we met, actually. And every day I look at it and I go, man, I really got to get a guy in here. I got to get James in here to come in and fix this for me, because I look at it and I go, yeah, that's not good.
We love the rescue jobs. So
That would definitely be me. I was telling my wife before the show, I was like, man, I love having this guy on the show because it's like brings it back up again. Because all of us, like, we open a door too hard and it's like boom, and you damage the door or in the wall, and you're like, oh man. And you're like, I got this. I got some drywall mud in the garage. So you go and you just you start drywall mudding it up, and you're like, wait a minute. Yeah. Wait, now I gotta, and it dried okay, but then I'm like, oh, now it's just a big white spot right there.
Then I gotta texture it. I gotta get the can, and one says it says Orange Crush or whatever it says on the can.
Right.
And
that's the bad word, the can.
That's horrible. Yeah. Ooh,
and you're like, and you just do one spot, and then you try to paint it later, and it's just
you're too close, and it looks like it's a big splotch. It starts to drip down the wall, and you're like, let me get it.
You're like, you know what? I saw one time that somebody sanded that, and they can just basically start over, and you're sanding like a painted glob. So many times, I'm sure you've gotten that call.
Oh yeah,
I imagine.
Yeah, daily, multiple times a day actually. So.
Well, it's good. Now you were looking at doing some franchising and everything last time we saw you. Has that been moving along for you?
Yeah, been very successful. We've had 2 locations open for a year now. That's the Villages and Lakeland, Polk County. Doing quite well over there. And those were our territories that we were able to sell off and just kind of keep them supported. And now we just went nationwide. So we were in Boise, Idaho, opening up in June, St. Louis, Missouri, and we're also in the west side of Philadelphia. Not to be confused with West Philadelphia, but it's the west side of Philadelphia.
So. That is actually two
and many more
things.
coming. So
nice. That's awesome. That's great, man. And so tell us a little bit about the beginning and where you are today. I love hearing the beginning story of it, and then and everything you guys do today.
Yeah. Well, we started, as a side business for my business partner, Bill Dement. And he was a painter, and he was a painter and a house flipper for years in investment properties. And he started getting all these phone calls from the UCF students that wanted their deposits back because they had some pretty rough nights. They put some holes in walls. And then they realized that the per hour was a little higher with drywall repair, because anybody with a paintbrush and a pickup truck thinks they're a painter, right? Mm-hmm. But if you really want to specialize in drywall repair, which a lot of people do, like painters do it and handymen do it, but if you want to do it just right, we try to figure out, well, who is doing that? Who's the McDonald's of the drywall repair world? And he realized that there was nobody doing it. So we kind of lit it up as a side hustle, got a burner phone from Metro PCS, had a kid from UCF.
Just press one.
Yeah, build a $500 website and just started working it on the side. And then
and the theory behind that was, so that's a great idea, is like chasing those college students that want their, or renters that just want their deposit back, but they don't want to spend a lot of money. I mean, maybe the deposit's only $500 or a couple $100. And so basically they found an efficient way to just do that, and no job too small.
No job too small, which is a lot of people don't want to do the tiny jobs. Big drywall contractors don't have the time to really just go down and do the doorknob holes, right? But we do those all day long. We love those. And being able to kind of like track this over time, you realize he was doing so well that I came on board over 10 years ago now, and we kind of built this into a business. So Dement Painting slid to the side, and we now have 23 full-time employees, 7 trucks on the road. We average between 1,600 and 1,800 jobs alone in Orlando a year. And so,
and give us a description of your basic job, like the one, your bread and butter, one that you do every day.
So we basically do 3 types of jobs, but our bread and butter, we call them the hit and run jobs. Those are ones that are almost too small. Maybe the projects that you guys may have at your house that it would take you 3 trips to Home Depot, maybe 2 weekends to get it done just right, and we're in and out of there in just a couple hours, right? My technicians will do 3-4 jobs a day, and they're in and out of there for a few $100. Everything's taken care of. We do a little larger jobs, obviously, like you've got a garage ceiling that falls down because of the humidity or maybe some sort of restoration damage. Those are a little bit bigger jobs, and we've got crews that specialize in that. So they'll be 2, 3, 4 days, including some painting and stuff. And then we got the bigger jobs, those larger, remodel style jobs. And we call them big boy crews. So they can kind of do a little bit of everything. So we can pretty much do everything. We even have 1099 crews that can do large scale commercial work. But we really, we call it stick to the knitting. We really just stick to the drywall repair, because that's our bread and butter. That's what we're selling for the franchises, and that's what people know us online.
Talk to me about that stinky stuff in the ceiling that nobody likes, and nobody likes to match. Tell me about what you guys do.
Talking about popcorn?
Yeah. Texture, popcorn, any of that stuff.
Well, realize the popcorn was created as an acoustic barrier, right? Because especially in Florida, these used to be terrazzo floors, used to be really echoey surfaces. So these are like little puffy, little foam balls in the ceiling.
Styrofoam balls, right?
And the contractors loved it because you don't have to paint the ceiling once you blow the popcorn on. So they could just go new construction and just blow this popcorn texture everywhere. They got a little glitter cannon that kind of like sparkles the old school glitter on there.
They call that asbestos.
Yeah. And it's people don't have the money sometimes to remove it, so we can go in and remove it through the entire house and reblow maybe a nice knockdown texture on it. But when it comes to repairing it, we have the technology to repair it. We have the supplies still to repair it. Actually, it's hard to come by. The popcorn texture is not being made as often as it used to be.
Right.
But we train our technicians to match it just right. So
Wow.
even an older home that we just need to do a small little repair, we can match that texture.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I
Awesome.
never thought about the fact that your garage ceiling falls in from humidity. You mentioned that, and a lot of my claims they'll say, well, my garage ceiling's falling in. I'll go, but there's no leak in the roof. I'm trying to think about it. And honestly, I hate to admit, it never came across my mind that it's just because if they don't put it in, I guess, correctly initially either, the humidity is just enough to make it start to sag.
Well, your house is air conditioned, right? So and that's not just cooling. That's humidity is removed from your home with your HVAC. But your front porches, back porches, lanais, garages, those are AC'd areas. And so humidity builds up, and over time, that moisture starts wearing down. Now, you have the roof, a ceiling that's 20 years old, and they use nails. They're not using screws like we're using now. Well, over time, we start to kind of pop. And we actually get them where we see the nails start to pop, or the seams just kind of start to go. Sometimes it's not so bad we have to replace all the drywall. We can go in, we'll do what we call a re-secure, re-seam. We'll go in and just every 10 inches, we'll put in drywall screws to re-secure it, kind of cinch it back up, redo all the seams, and then we'll blow new texture in the ceiling, make it look brand new again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was like, how about and I keep going back to my office where I did a bad job because it sticks in my head. Now, where my printer and stuff is on a rolly cart. I can roll that out, but I have a desk that's relatively heavy. I'm trying to. Do you guys do? Will you move stuff? Do you guys work around it? Or what do I need to do to make it?
We can move things. I prefer it not to be expensive. Don't have me move your Tiffany vase, But we got strong, strapping young men and women that work for us. We can move. I prefer not to have liability, so let's clear it off so we're not knocking things around on it.
Right.
But no problem. Yeah, we have to move things all the time.
Okay, I didn't know. Sometimes I don't know if you come in and go, you guys already are doing kind of a unique service. I don't know if you're like, hey, I ain't moving that couch, man. You guys got to get somebody to do that.
If it's a really full quarter style home, we need to have a pathway to and from the repair site. Right. So if it's a big garage that's full of stuff, you're going to need to make room so we can repair it.
Right. Well, which is only fair. I just wasn't sure how that all factored in. So.
No, hook you up. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right. If you're listening, you want to get a hold of him, 1-844-NO-HOLES, right there on your sheet, right there on your shirt. That's awesome. Hole in the wall, drywall repair, and not only Central Florida area, but the villages and what are the areas?
In Polk County, Lakeland, currently here in Florida.
In Boise.
Awesome.
In Boise and St. Louis.
Yeah, in case you're listening from St. Louis.
You got a place in Boise, you need some drywall.
And don't forget, it's holeinthewall.com. That was able to land that as well, so you can find us there.
That's great. Yeah, I think we talked about that last time. Be careful when you're searching for that website. That's for sure. I would just say, just call 844-NO-HOLES. Anyways, I'm. This is live radio too. I missed the old days of just straight up podcast. Say what you want. I wanted to talk with you, Hans, as we missed you last week, but we had the finale of our Florida legislative session, in which we saw a bunch of curveballs. We saw first that nothing was going to happen, and then, maybe there's a chance. Dumb and Dumber comes to mind.
Exactly. So you're saying.
But then we end the session with possibility of an extension of the session, and at that point in time last week or 10 days ago that they didn't have an agreement on the budget and they didn't have an agreement on civil matters, and then they were possibly going to extend the session to discuss this and then possibly pass a bill that would service these major concerns. And so can you give us an update on what actually happened?
Sure. The patient died, or the plane crashed, however you want to look at it. Exactly. We had some very good bills. We had a lot of momentum in the beginning of the session, a lot of discussion with heads of insurance companies and heads of insurance regulation about why things were not reported, why people were being dishonest, why people were literally defrauding the consumer. And that had some traction. Then slowly over time, as we all know, the traction starts to wane a little bit, and we dropped down. We felt that some of the attorney fee bills were not going to make it. Then there was a definite resurgence because the House, and I'll give all the credit to the House wanted this to happen. They wanted attorney fees back in to allow consumers to actually get the money they need to fix their home and not honestly pay me from it.
Right. Well, remember that article that came out from the Trump administration calling out what they said, DeSantis lackey still doing his deal, his bidding in the Senate. That's why we didn't see any movement at all in the Senate. And you're supposed to be for the people, but the House, with Danny Perez becoming Speaker of the House, he is this year and then next year. So every 2 years they change the committees and the leadership.
And Perez was great. I mean, Perez did everything in his power to push those bills through. Really ones that were good regarding medical malpractice.
Even got super interested in phosphate mining.
Yes, as limitations, because that was an important bill for Senator Albritton. I mean, honestly, Perez and the House did everything they could to help the consumer, and the Senate literally did nothing.
Right.
Literally just shut it down. When the bill was given to them for them to agree to, even to modify, even to come with some form of negotiation,
right.
They
denied the whole thing.
They're just like, hey, we don't see it. We don't see it. Left, as it's known, on the table, which is a term they use up there.
Die.
When they put something on the table for the other house to pick it up. And at that point, the Senate never considered it, never brought it to the vote, never brought it to the floor. And if you're a consumer, which would mean everybody, and you have a senator in your district, which would mean everybody, you should not vote for that guy again, because literally left you hanging. There was no positive consumer legislation passed the entire session, even mandatory bodily injury, which I'm not saying is either good nor bad, but a big bill for a lot of years. Didn't get any consideration. The good Senate bill for attorney's fees never got any consideration. I mean, really, it was amazing at how the Senate just refused to take any action. So it benefit the consumer this year.
Right. It was even in an article early on that Senator Gates got back into the in the world of politics just to push this insurance reform to put it back to where it's an even footing for the consumer versus the insurance company. And we saw exactly what the results were when you swing the pendulum too far in the insurance favor. You saw the article that came out, 14 insurance carriers denied over 50% of all their claims from Hurricane Helene and from Milton.
And why not? And why not, right? No one's got their
right. There's
any pressure on
there's
them
no
to do
bad
that?
faith. There's no attorney fees provisions in case that you actually prevail and you say, hey, you actually do owe me $10,000. Well, now it's going to cost you $10,000 to get there. So what's the point? So 50% of them have, or those 14 carriers, it didn't even count Citizens, because it started off at people's distrust first at number one at 76%. But because the week before, an article came out about Citizens denying 77% of all claims filed. And so it's absolutely ridiculous when you see the pendulum swing way over to this far and you see what the results are. And I think that's why the Trump administration, anybody that knows anything about this it's just right there in front of our faces. And the average consumer doesn't know that this is happening, that the folks that we voted for to put in office are not speaking on our behalf. The House did stand up and say, this is enough. We need to give more protections for the homeowner. And even in this case, it was what they call loser pays. So if the insured, the homeowner, ends up prevailing against their insurance company, then they deserve every penny of that, what they call indemnity. It's the full amount to put them back to pre-loss condition, which their policy covers. Then your fee as an attorney, expert fees from my company are covered then under fees and cost as they prevail. And the way it is now, when they changed the law in 2022 from our bought out governor, yes, I voted for him twice, and yes, he got bought out, and yes, I hate him for it. Thanks for keeping me open from COVID, but thank you. But anyways, but we see what happens now then when he gets that $100 million from the insurance lobby, which was supposedly in a fake crisis, but to poop out $100 million to run for president, and then for them to put this agenda out, he still has control. Now he's got one more year left of this control, and is what they call the lackey there in the Senate, who was the past Senate President Pasadomo, who's now, I guess the article says that she's the Rules Committee chair, and so she wasn't having the bill come through her committee at all.
I mean, one thing to keep in mind, for 100 years or more before December 16th of 2022, if your insurer wrongfully or simply incorrectly denied or underpaid your claim, you were entitled to recover your fees, your attorney's fees and costs incurred. Now, that was deemed unfair, and it was deemed that your mom and dad or my parents or your parents were on equal financial footing to State Farm, Citizens, Allstate, all of them. And it was unfair that the insurers had to pay my time and my costs to help your parents get their insurance claim paid. That was somehow unfair to the insurance company because we were all deemed to be on equal financial footing. Me, you, Jim, everybody are equal with all the insurance companies.
Right.
And really, now became the problem. So then they changed it. There's no fees attributable. This bill would have put them back under some more limited circumstances to give people back the right to get all the money they need to put themselves back to pre-loss condition.
Yep. So to recap, we got screwed during the fake crisis.
Yes.
Last several years, and now we were out of space to actually maybe even out the level of the playing field, so that consumers then can call the Morgan & Morgans of the world that got him to be the largest in the world, whatever they say, right? But it literally, though, does give that David versus Goliath feel, right? I mean, of saying, if you are wrong, and that 50% or more of these denials, like from those top 15 insurance companies, I mean, that's a lot of individuals that got denied, wrongfully so. And we know Citizens has around 1 million policies now. They had a record-breaking 1.4 million policies. Out of 6.5 million policies, HO3 policies, let's do the math here, they had a fifth of them, let's say, right? And then those other carriers then have a couple 100,000 each, easy, if not a 500,000. And so we're talking about maybe 2.5 million, 3 million folks. And then and I'm being conservative, and then you take half of those people 1.5 million people got wrongfully denied or paid under deductible when a hurricane, a Category 5 hurricane, went over their home. I mean, that's just amazing, and not in a good way. And so I think that's a good time to just mention we are sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida. You can visit us at www.raflorida.org. We are a nonprofit association by contractors for contractors and consumers alike, as contractors are only as good as consumer rights here in the state of Florida. If you'd like to join and be a part of our association, check us out there online, become a member, and even become a guest here on our show. And so with that, we've been a part of some consumer relations because we've learned over the years that there's just no consumer advocate at all. Right. Years back during a lot of the law changes, especially in the assignment of benefit changes, when all this stuff got hot, when the boogeyman started changing around, it was first it was back before 2013, it was sinkhole, the reason why every year premiums continue to increase. And then so they made major law changes to, quote unquote, to stop the rise of insurance premiums. And then the next boogeyman was in the restoration contractors. That's in 2014. The Restoration Association of Florida was founded, and we became more of an advocate. And we found out that these were involved of taking rights from consumers. So then they say, well, let's start taking away consumer rights. So then that way contractors can't be in their shoes and make them do the right thing. And I mean that in a way that, like I steal a line out of your book, more having the sophisticated contractor run that claim. And so they know what to do, know what the right steps are to get paid. So the insurance companies don't like that. So they started to shut it down, whittle it down. It took them years and years to do so, but they continue to point the finger, even to the point they blamed you. They blamed attorneys, roofers, any service contractor that's trying to help consumers. And then they started blaming consumers as well. All the litigation and all this other stuff based off of wrong, ill facts. And so I do step on the high horse sometimes. I do digress. But I think it's important to mention that, especially at the end of the legislative session when the people are supposed to speak, is that we were very, very disappointed that nothing went through. Now we have to wait till January of next year for the session to start. Every year it starts on an off time, so January one year, and then March next year, or the following year on the first Tuesday, and then it goes for 60 days. So next year it'll start on January 1st, goes for 60 days, and so we'll maybe see some change. But man, it's a long time coming for a consumer when we could possibly have storms this year. What are we doing?
Well, we're back to where we were. We're still helping people as best we can. It's just unfortunate that it felt for a moment that David versus Goliath, the old biblical story, the idea of good, obviously triumphing over evil, was not to be seen this year. And David didn't win. David got killed by Goliath, which is always going to be the insurer, the money they spend, the money they pay. And again, the Senate was just locked down against us. And for the fact they didn't pass a budget, they do have to have an extension of the existing legislative session, which will begin the end of the month and then run for a couple of weeks for them to get the budget done, because the Constitution requires them to do that. The civil action bill, which is what we're talking about, which was regarding medical malpractice, attorney's fees, and the sulfate mining, was not deemed to be added to that extension session or special session at this time.
Right. Yeah. So basically, it's dead. It's a done deal unless they call a special session regarding that. And the governor can call it, but the committees, both in the House and the Senate, can shut it down, or the actual legislators can call a special session themselves if they feel like they have enough people that are concerned. But that won't happen. We'll see what happens next year. So that kind of buttons that up there. Yeah. But definitely not a good year. A lot of holes in the wall, we'll say. How
do we fix those?
We call James, or we go to holeinthewall.com or 844-NO-HOLES, one of those venues to be able to get James. But yeah, if you can go ahead and tell us what areas you cover, how to get a hold of you, and maybe even give your email address.
Sure, absolutely. Email us at office@holeinthewall.com. Real easy here for Central Florida. We basically cover from Cocoa all the way over to the Four Corners in our headquarters here. And then, of course, the Polk County region might have a territory there. Just you can still call the same number. We'll get you there, as well as all the way up to Mount Dora, to Ocala Villages area, and we got that covered as well.
That's awesome. No job too small.
Nope.
From the oops, I opened the door too far and it dinged my my drywall. I need to get my deposit back to, I need a whole house drywall situation.
That's right.
Holeinthewall.com. We're going to take a break, give some thanks to our sponsors. We'll be right back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. All right. We're back after our first break here live, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. You have another shot at it. In a few days, we'll be up live on, a next episode will be live on Spotify, iTunes, or anywhere else you like to stream. And then we'll also be on our YouTube page. Like us, subscribe us there, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, where you can find it all in one space on our website, contractortalkpodcast.com. It's a lot of stuff for you right there. And we're sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida. I'll give you one more website, raflorida.org. Thank you for being here today. And our special guest is James with Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair, holeinthewall.com. And we love talking about, these just mishaps, like and one things I wanted to say for you bringing it up here on the air is I used to have a pest control service company prior to my mold inspection company. Yeah. And even then we get in the attics all the time. We're crawling around. We had a wildlife department would be in there, and so many times would we put a foot through the drywall, of the attic, and it just happens. And our guy are not drywall guys. And so many times that we'd have to find a service provider, and it was always a difficult feat because, like you said, it's a minimal area, but then it's a pain in the butt too, because not only do you have to have a specialty of repairing the drywall, but now you have to match the texture and the paint, which is usually not all in one person.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the homeowner. We do a lot of work for the homeowners directly, but you think about anyone who's in someone's house that could cause more damage, right, or at least be exposed to with the damage of the walls and ceilings, like pest control, like home inspectors. I get lots of ceilings get damaged from home inspectors. So we like to partner with these different I was
going to say it's a perfect B2B partnership.
We do. We become trade service partners. We become partners in profit with them. So then we become a great way for them to look good to their client, because if something does happen by accident or because it's a catastrophic event, right? So it's a restoration, 200 foot of flood cut. Right. We become a trusted partner for those other trades, which help them look good as well. And so it's a nice little way to benefit B2B as well as the B2C that we take care of.
Because there's nothing worse than that happening, and then you as a contractor going, well, let me find somebody. And you're like, find somebody? What, are you kidding me? Yeah. And then a lot of times we talk about is when you do find someone who'll come and do a small job that costs a fortune because they're breaking away from their normal, bigger job, easier job to come do it. So that's another benefit.
Or it might take, time. Yeah, it might take time to get the estimate, or it might not even be worth the time for that contractor to get out there for an estimate, or it might take a lot different road there to get somebody out there, especially after a major storm. It's very difficult to get a contractor at all. But just in regular times outside of a storm,
still bad.
Yeah, it's still like it's always like the screen guy or like the the drywall repair guy. It's like you never get him out. You can't rope him in there to get there. And when you finally do, then it's like, all right, I can do it right now, but it's going to be $1,000. And you're like, it's a hole like that big. I waited a week for you to tell me it's going to be $1,000. Just tell me you don't want to do it. Right. So I asked you on the break, and I think it's a great point to bring it up though. If somebody does have a small job and they just say, hey man, can you give me an estimate? And they send you some pictures. Would you be able to give an estimate?
Absolutely. Actually, we like doing that better because we like to honor people's time. We want to make sure you got to take time off of work. You got to take time from your busy schedule to have an estimator come out there. And then how many times have you called and they don't show up at all, or they show up late? So we try to mitigate that. Because if it's you email the pictures and your details to holeinthewall.com, you can text our phone numbers. It comes to us and we can put together a proposal based on those pictures. Listen, I did 1,600 plus jobs last year. Okay, if you tell me you got a 2 foot by 2 foot hole in your wall, I can tell you the price right away. I know what they look like. They look very similar to the last 1,500 we just did. If it's a larger job, or you just don't have the comfort level to just trust.
I didn't punch that. I swear to God, you're like right. I've seen that.
We get the anger holes. We get those
anger holes.
Yeah, they're always on the husband's side of the bed for some reason.
A lot of calls Dave after Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how the TV fell and hit the wall.
Yeah. But so this way we can take care of those proposals, and I could probably get a technician out there faster than an estimator, because our estimator's booked out usually a couple of weeks. So that's a nice way to do it. And plus, if it's too large and you don't have the cash on hand, we offer financing. We have 0 interest 6-month financing. So it's don't want to wait for your income tax to come back to get that popcorn stone removed. No problem. We'll take care of you right now. Same as cash. Our prices don't change if you're financing or not, and we can get those pre-approved through our third-party vendor super fast.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And they can check that out at holeinthewall.com. All that information is there, even the financing piece?
Absolutely. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Did you have a question?
I'm trying to think. I guess for mine, I'm just thinking about how to take pictures. Now, where would I text my pictures of my wall to?
Mm-hmm. If you're texting the photos to the Atlanta location, you can call the local number, or you can text at the 8. It's 407-283-1069, but that's also on the holeinthewall.com. You can find it easily.
Okay.
You can email it to office@holeinthewall.com. But we can get that taken care of right away. It's really easy, and frankly, we give you the proposal, you accept it online. When the technician's done, you pay for it online. We're in and out. There's a lot of times the homeowners just kind of give us their door codes, and we just kind of come in and out, because we're background checked employees. All of our employees are clean cut, young men and women who are trustworthy. We're not letting some riffraff in your home. That's the other problem is you don't know who you're getting in when you have some of these other contractors. They show up in unlogoed trucks. They're wearing wife beaters. They're smoking. They got their hat on backwards. Their pants maybe a little bit lower than you're comfortable with. We try to make sure that our technicians follow a really good standard to make you and because I got to put my technician in your home when your wife is there and you're not.
Right. No, that's great to know. And many of companies nowadays don't do that, especially in the service trades. It's very difficult to keep a good crew. And I've got to know, I mean, it's such a specialty niche. You guys must have like in-house training. How do you get everybody to have the same quality?
All right. This is a passion of mine. So we had this issue for years. It was always one of these.
That would be mine. I'm like, how do you get everybody to be the same? You can put a technician in a truck and he can run for a year as a helper, and then he quits, and then all of a sudden you're hosed, right? So we have built a training facility in our warehouse called the School of Rock Drywall Academy. It literally is a fake house. We have a curriculum built. We can get a technician up and running from how to read a tape measure all the way down to how to do specialty textures in a short amount of time. We built an app, so it's all on an app on the phone. So there's over 50 videos, 300 subjects. So my technicians are dialed in, and we're always adding to it. It's also the benefit for all of our new franchisees, because they fly to Atlanta for a couple of weeks, and we teach them everything about how to do the marketing, how to run the business, answer the phone, what's your script, and we teach them all the nuts and bolts, all the getting dirty with the drywall mud, corner bead, texture matching, all in our school, and they can take that away with them in the app as well. So training's big. Do you guys do painting as well over top of that? So you match the paint, the texture and the paint? Yeah,
match texture paint. We'll do non-structural carpentry, so base trim, hang a door, attic ladders.
Really?
Yeah.
That's far afield from drywall. I mean,
but it's
not in a bad way, but I mean, that's
carpentry.
Really something.
I mean, listen, we can't fix bad drywall, bad carpentry with drywall, but we can definitely make sure that you have a non-structural wall put up or removed in your home without issue. And then, of course, we paint. Now, I don't want to paint someone's whole house, because there are other painters out there that could do larger scale projects cheaper. But sometimes it's just nice to have one person to call that can take care of all those little smaller issues, and we'd be happy to paint someone's bedroom or ceiling. If we're doing a repair in someone's room, we'll paint the whole area for you.
It's funny, because I was just thinking on my office job, kind of, obviously I'm somewhat obsessed with it apparently, since it was like that last time James was here, and I'm still thinking about it. But I was just thinking, I said, well, okay, he's going to do it. Then I got to go paint it. Then I'm thinking, now I got to still go to Home Depot and get some paint and get some brushes and do all that stuff. But he'll do it for you.
Yeah, we got that. We got that covered. We have partnerships with all of the local providers, so we can get good pricing.
No, that's great, and I love how you offer the training. I thought maybe you would have to keep everything, the quality the same. That's the only way to be able to scale your business, and not having the same person being requested. Oh, they fixed my wall better than this person or this crew, and so That's great, man. That's awesome that you have that. So do you guys, you go around and you knock holes in the drywall and you have them go in there and fix them? You rotate out the walls? That's awesome.
Yeah, we sure do. They everything from, it's tall, so they got to learn how to work on ladders, all different textures.
Or with the stilts?
Some with stilts, some with ladders, some with scaffolding. We even have ceiling fans and recessed lighting in there, so they have to learn how to make sure that they can work around those areas. I got a little small bathroom, so they can how to work behind toilets and sinks and such, and how to cover. Listen, you're doing a repair above a towel bar. The last thing you want to do is get texture overspray on the towel bar. So you can either remove the towel bar, which you could lose a little tiny screw, and now you got to buy a brand new towel bar, or you cover it. And so we've got methods, and you can get in there and cover it in less than 30 seconds or so, and now you can take care of that project, uncover it, and it's like it's done. So we have what we call the 3 C's: cover, complete, and clean. Right. An extra 5 minutes of covering is going to save you 3 minutes of cleaning. Complete it to the hole in the wall standards, and then when you're done, you clean. Make sure it looks as good, if not better, than when you got there.
Because that always gets you with contractors too. Like they'll come in and do a nice job on the job, but there's dust all over your floor or whatever, and all the good washes away very quickly. And so really they couldn't take 5 minutes and just make sure the place looks like it was.
Yeah,
right.
We've got stories about those, that's for sure. Yeah,
I bet. No, that's great. And then having all of that together to be able to go out and then take out to the next level and offer a franchising model, that's fantastic. I mean, you definitely know that you have your stuff together. And if you're listening today, and you have that project, give them a call, 844-NO-HOLES, or check them out online at holeinthewall.com.
Franchising stuff too. I mean, franchises, it's hard to do a good franchise.
Yeah.
It really is all the paperwork and the documentation, like all the due diligence type stuff. So if you're selling franchises, I mean, the model works, which is nice.
And we partner with some good people to kind of help us find the right niches to kind of go into. But I mean, we've been franchising for a couple of years, and we really are just now getting traction. It's one thing to build a franchise, so you have to come up with the documentation, the contracting, you got to come up with the training, the operation and stuff. Now it's ready to sell. Now you got to get in front of people to buy. And that's the hardest part. And because it's a mutual evaluation. We're looking for the right owners, not just anybody can, quote unquote, buy a franchise. We are awarding franchises to those individuals in their communities that think they can benefit with a hole in the wall franchise.
Now, are they folks who are already contractors? Or you find are people who they're outside the field?
That's funny, but no. I've got 2 IT guys now.
Because of the training that you're offering, that might be my biggest thing is you would almost think you'd have to buy a drywall company or a service provider company that has the skills already. But then as an investor, you're like, no, let me invest into a franchise. Yeah. And you guys can almost take it all the way then, right? I mean, you offer a full set of services for the franchisee, maybe to include even the marketing.
I've got home inspectors. I've got people who have left the IT department. IT's hard to find jobs with. If you're in your 30s and 40s, they're always hiring these young guys out of college. I've got people that just get out of the restoration business, and they see the need for drywall repair. And it's a very fragmented market. Not a lot of people doing it out there. So
Right. And, well, a lot of people that do it, but not many that do it well.
Not at this scale.
Right. Yeah. Well, and do it well, because I want to say that because a lot of remediation companies or mold remediation companies nowadays are trying to dip their toe into that, repair side.
Restoration model.
Right.
We're their best friends. Come to us. We'll take care of all the putback for them.
Isn't that great? So if you are a restoration company that is listening now, I mean, what a great idea to partner with a company like yours, because as we know, we can help manage that job, and you then turn it around very quickly. And if we're waiting on the money to come in, even offer a financing piece, which I think is fantastic.
And we're Xactimate savvy. So
that's good to know as well. Awesome. Well, check them out, holeinthewall.com. We have one more sponsorship here, and then we'll finalize our show here at Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. We'll be right back. All right. We're back live on air, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, live every Monday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And a few days later, we are on Spotify, iTunes, this same show. So if you're just now tuning in, check us out on Spotify in a few days. Or if you really want to check out Hans' Dapper Suit of the Week, check us out on our YouTube page. Like us, subscribe us there, and you'll be very well entertained. Let me just say that. And speaking of, Hans, give us an update. Just a few months back, and maybe time is just kind of just whatever. You have your own a law practice.
I do.
You're board certified attorney and been so for 20 plus years. I'll let you date yourself. But how is Kennon Law going?
Oh, actually, thank you for asking. We have actually I was interviewing someone right before I left to come do the show. I have now almost 12 people on staff, plus another lawyer. I have another lawyer and 2 staff who want to join. We started March a year ago. We're very grateful. We ended up the first year in the black, continued to do so. I'm out there a lot marketing more and more. I did a lot when I was with Morgan & Morgan for many years. Do a lot of marketing now, talking to a lot of roofing contractors, a lot of contractors. And they're nice enough to refer people to me who have denied or underpaid claims. We're able to help them. We handle 30, 40, 50 claims a month. So that's been going well. So I appreciate you asking, but
and that's both property claims and for auto.
And automobile. I mean, I have a personal injury lawyer also who's with us. We've been handling those claims also as they come in. That's a hard market. I'm not going to lie. Between now, Dan Newland sold his practice, so we're waiting to see what's going to happen with that.
Right. Well, I heard they sold that a few years back and just kind of slowly kind of making it through.
It was much more recent. That's all I can really say.
All right.
There was always discussion. Dan was always trying to look into selling his practice, but my understanding is that that's all happened now.
That before or after he became the ambassador of Cuba or whatever?
Colombia.
Colombia.
He's a big fan of Central America. He spends a lot of time.
And his wife Colombian?
He's not married that I'm aware of these days.
Oh. He does speak Spanish, right?
Paquito? A little small, a little bit. I don't know.
Anyways,
sure.
I mean, you would think so if you're an
ambassador. But thank you again. So we do first party property. Any denied or underpaid claim. I had 2 boat claims come in this week so far.
Boat claims.
Boat claims. People had a boat that sunk, and the insurer doesn't want to pay, so they open coverage, but they don't want to pay enough. So that came over.
How did it sink? I mean, were they partying? They just forgot to put the little plug thing in.
Everyone's such a naysayer. I mean, things happen. Things happen, Richie. I mean. Now, and the reality is, if they did forget to put the plug in, that's still covered because you can be negligent, you just can't be intentional.
There you go.
So you can forget to do something, and they still owe you money, unless they show that you're doing it on purpose. And really, most people don't. But I found in my time, I remember trying cases for stolen car cases, and they'd claim it was for some other angle, and I said, the car's paid for. What possible incentive do they have? They could have sold it in a day, but instead they thought, I'm gonna put it into the river myself and wait 5 years to get paid under a fraud claim.
Right.
I said that's too bad a criminal for us to work with. But no, practice is going well. A lot of cases coming in. Always looking for more.
Awesome. And you have a new fancy website and everything?
We do have a fancy smancy website. The KennonLaw.com has myself and the photos of all our folks on there. And whatever you need, we're happy to help. We have people who call us who we can't help. We try to be very proactive and not just turning people away, but we actually go call and look for people to try to help other folks out if we can.
Right.
So we're trying to build a better relationship than we've been able to do before on our smaller scale. It's all working out so far. So thank you.
That's great. That's good. That's good. I mean, and I think that's why it's important for us to continue to tell the consumers here in any platform that we possibly can, as far as what we hear, and when we do hear it, almost like the same week that it happens, the inside scoop, we talk about it here on the show, whether it be through our the legislative session or as things come through, maybe major
change in case law, things like that. And I guess the important thing for everyone to know is, even though there's been these changes to the attorney fee statute, we're still here to help.
That's right.
And
at a good percentage. Maybe most people are like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get 33 1/3 or 40% at that point. And then you have expert fees and things like that. So you're going to take 50, 60% of my pie. It's just the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Right. And we always tell folks too, I mean, most folks come to us with zero. So we can do better than zero. We're already in the black with people. And our contract is we basically take no less than 10%. And we never take any more than 30, and 30 is only in extreme cases. But we do a lot of the pre-suit work for between 10 and 20%, which is the same price you might pay for a public adjuster who doesn't have the background and credentials that we do.
Right.
And so again, anyone who has a denied or underpaid claim, or any contractor who does insurance work, and their clients have denied or underpaid claims, send them to us. We'll try to help them out.
And at their worst day, they get 70% of what they could have, what they should get, rather than 100% of nothing.
Correct. And so it's at times that you hate to have a little bit of a half a loaf discussion. But I had someone the other day, and the roof was about $20,000, and we got him 10. I said, look, we started this at 9 a.m. with you having zero. I said, now you're halfway to a new roof. I said, I know that isn't exactly what we wanted to end up with.
Right.
But on a pre-suit basis, that's a good start to go from 0 to 50%. and because they need a new roof. Because one thing we talk about is that if they have an 18-year-old roof, they're only a year away or less from having their insurer non-renew them.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of getting non-renewed and paying for the whole roof out of your pocket, if you come to us and we can help you, we can help at least cut that percentage way down. And once you get a new roof, you have an ability to go shop the policy. You have a chance to go to another insurer, get a better rate. But you got an old roof, the clock's running on you.
Really is. And there's more and more insurers entering the Florida market. Just a few years back when I was checking, you can go to the Office of Insurance Regulation website and you can do a search for all the active insurance companies. And believe it or not, there was about 1,000 insurance companies. Majority of them did property, but they do, a lot of them do both, property and auto. But there was over 500 registered home property insurers that were registered on the website. And so there's a good amount of competition. So I say continue to shop it. We used to say on the show, shop it every 2 years, because the law used to be every 2 years, or you have 2 years to report first notice of claim. And so you don't want to have a home inspector type every single year. So every 2 years is almost palatable. Yeah. But either way, the law is now to where you have 1 year to report first notice of claim, 18 months to supplement. But it's important to shop it annually every 2 years and check it out for new insurance companies. I told you I ended up getting like $3,500 for the year by switching to Loggerhead, where I was paying double that amount before with Heritage. So Loggerhead started in 2022 from a group of execs from AAA. They went over to Tampa, started that company. So there are these spring-off companies that are starting in this lawless market where basically consumers have no rights and the insurer can do whatever they want. So of course you should be able to find somebody that says, you know what, let me try to gather the market by giving a good rate, and we should take advantage of that. But if you go to the Office of Insurance Regulation website, you can search in your zip code for available insurers.
But what you do find when you go look is you don't know what you're going to find. I had a guy the other day had an 1,100 square foot house, modest home, modest neighborhood. He was paying $7,000 a year for homeowners insurance.
Holy cow.
And I was like, sir, when was the last time you shopped this? He goes, it's been a long time. I'm like, you need to shop that today. Wow. I said, Citizens will probably be half that.
No kidding.
But a lot of times you just pay the bill, or it comes out of your escrow, or it comes out of your payment. You stop thinking about actively what's it really costing me. But if you have an older roof, you're gonna have trouble finding coverage. Get yourself a new roof, however that may be, and you'll find a lot more options for yourself out there.
That's right. And many of the roofers that we've had on here, we brought up the financing piece. They also offer a finance kind of situation. Yeah. But I mean, if you still have, I think, a few months to have an inspector come out and check your home for Milton or Helene damage.
Yes.
So you have a few months left. It'd still be late reporting, but it's within statute for you to file first notice of claim. Up until, I guess, September?
Yeah,
this year?
It was October 9th was the storm. We try not to have clients making claims, 11 and a half months, just because.
But if they don't live here, or if there's a weird situation, they're older or whatever, elderly, and they didn't have any leaks, but then now so you go up there and their tile roof is just all messed up, then nobody went up there. Then
you can still do it. And one thing I'd say is that the rainy season ended, at least here in Orlando, about 3 days ago. It hadn't rained for like 4 months.
Right.
So that was a good time to make. If you wanted to make a Milton claim, it was ideal even 4 or 5 months after the storm, because there was no weather of consequence.
Right.
The last 4 or 5 days, it's starting to rain again. If you think you need to make a Milton claim, now's the time before some storm comes up that the insurer can point to and say, well, maybe it was this other storm or this other day of bad rain.
Now, if somebody were to want to open up a claim, but they don't want to have to deal with their insurer, can they call you and you can open up the claim and deal with everything?
Absolutely. Well, we do often. We did 2 of them today, as a matter of fact, for folks. So you can always call my cell phone, which is 407-782-0258. That's 407-782-0258. Or you can call 888-878-HANS, HANS. Which is 4267.
Fancy.
So we try to do a little bit of that fancy stuff.
I like it. And then back to you, James. One thing you mentioned on the last break is that you're Xactimate friendly. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking other contractors here that may listen to the show and think, man, I want to partner with you, but you may not understand the insurance world. Which, if you don't know what Xactimate is, you don't know the insurance world.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you're Xactimate friendly. Does that mean you help do estimates underneath subcontractors?
It means that we can read Xactimate. We know what the insurer is putting when he puts down 5/8 drywall for a ceiling, but in Florida they don't do that. We know that their linear footage is usually typically off, and that their dollars are usually typically off. So we will help them offset, and so they can go get supplements and stuff. We can bid jobs. If you're a restorer, you can send me your Xactimate. I can bid a job off the Xactimate. Right.
Oh, nice.
So that'll save you time. At least give you a good reference point.
One of the drywall questions, because obviously that's our focus today. Is drywall any different than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Is there any improvement in the product? Makes it last longer, be stronger?
There is obviously the Chinese drywall is all gone. That's pretty much all removed now. But there is in the water resistant and mold category.
Like green board-ish?
Well, it used to be green and purple. Purple would be mold resistant as well, but now they're kind of blended depending on the company. Like U.S. Gypsum's one color, other companies a different color.
Right.
And they have yellow board now that's like you can literally keep it outside while your home's being built and then build. You'll see
it doesn't mold or rot or anything like that.
It doesn't get any deterioration at all.
So how is that different from concrete backer board?
Well, that's backer board and your Durarock. Those are going to be for your tile. There's going to be typically for like backsplashes and stuff, and for your bathroom tiles because it's really durable, definitely moisture barriered.
Then what do you use the yellow or purple stuff for?
Yellow is typically for commercial. The purple would be for the mold resistant, water resistant. Those would be in your bathrooms and your kitchen areas. Anywhere there's potential for water.
And those are 5/8 you mentioned?
They're typically 1/2 inch. 5/8. When you get into commercial, you're doing 5/8. Sometimes you're double 5/8 because that creates a fire barrier, your fire rating. But if you're in residential,
units or whatever.
If you're in residential, its walls and ceilings are all 1/2 inch currently.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought they were still at 5/8. So at least now they updated the sheathing from 1/2 to 5/8, I believe. So anyway, so then they changed it around drywall. Anyways, that's why we have you on our show, so we can figure all this stuff out. So contact James if you have any questions or you'd like to get an estimate. He'll do an estimate from an email or a text message with some photos, a brief description of what did you do. Send it over holeinthewall.com, and he'll be able to get you back an estimate pretty quick. Isn't that right?
That's right. And then if you go to holeinthewall.com, very bottom is our podcast. We run a business podcast. We talk about business things for small business owners. Happy to get some more listeners on there as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure.
If you're a contractor listening, you're interested in becoming a member, check us out, raflorida.org. And again, thank you for checking out our show. We'll be on Spotify and iTunes here soon. And of course, like and subscribe us on our YouTube page. Talk to you guys next week. See you.